My name is Hanna, maiden name Granek Ehrlich. Born in Benjin, 1924. Parents were Helen and Yitzhak Granek.
When was your mother born?
My mother was born in 1902 and my father was born in 1902.
Where was your mother born?
I am not sure, or Pilica or Benjin.
Pilica.
And where was your father born?
In Zawiercie.
What did your father do for a living?
My father was an accountant.
And who did he work for?
He worked in Katowice for the two big companies.
PC.
And what did your mother do?
My mother was a homemaker.
When did your mother meet your father?
This I really don't know.
They always live in Benzin,
Yes,
Bendin?
yes.
And on your mother's side, who were your mother's parents?
When I was born, my grandparents were already deceased.
On your father's
Our
side
father's
also?
side was a grandfather, which I was very close to him, and I loved him very much.
What was his
And
name?
he lived in Zawiercie. His name was Jakov Granek.
Do you remember when he was born, your grandfather?
No, I don't know.
And how far is Zawiercie from Bendin?
It was by train about an hour one way.
Who was the oldest child in your family?
I was the oldest one, and I had a brother 9 years younger.
And what was his name and what year was he born?
My brother was born 1933. His name was David Dove.
And did you have any other brothers or sisters?
No.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Benjin, to a private school from kindergarten. It was a very famous school. It was a Hebrew high school. Hebrew school and high school.
What was the name of the school?
Gimnazjum imienia Fürstenbergów. This was donated and built by a philanthropist from Benjin. It was a gorgeous building, and in fact we went to revisit Poland a few years ago. Of course we went to the school. It was in a very good shape. Why? Because when the Germans came in 1939, the first thing they made the offices in our school.
How far was the school from where you lived?
It was a walking distance, but it took about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to walk to school. We didn't use the street cars or something, we walked.
And where did you live in Benzin, in Bendin?
In Benjin we live on Street Piłsudskiego 11.
And where is that in Bendin?
That was the new street with beautiful homes, new homes. We moved in over there in 1937. It was brand new.
Apartments? Or?
Apartments. 6 floors.
And how many rooms in your apartment?
We have 1, 2, 3 in a kitchen, in an entrance hall, in a bathroom, and
You had an inside bathroom?
yes.
And
It was
inside
everything
plumbing?
modern, yes. Brand new.
Where did you live before that, or that was your earliest memory?
No, before we lived in apartment Małachowskiego 4. It was not far away.
It was a Jewish neighborhood.
Oh yes. In our town we have 85, 89% Jews, and the rest was...
And where were you born, in a hospital or at home?
I really don't... Probably at home, because in our times we had... the children were born at home.
And who helped, a midwife?
And probably.
Do you remember your first day at school?
Yes.
What did you study at school?
What, was in kindergarten?
Yeah, what did you study?
Yeah, we played, and we danced, and we painted, And
And in the next grades and the higher grades, what did you study?
the higher grades, so we have Hebrew lessons. It was really a Hebrew private school. And
What
we
language was the instruction in? Polish,
The
Yiddish?
instruction was in Polish. And we learned religion, and we learned literature in the higher classes. And in high school, we have to learn German language, Polish of course, Hebrew, and Latin.
Who was your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher really was the professor. We didn't call them teachers, we had professors. We called them professors. The history professor.
What was his name?
Professor Anisfeld. And he passed away when the war started. It's still, we could go, we was in the ghettos, and we went to Krakow because he was from Krakow. They buried him over there.
Why was he your favorite teacher?
He was very nice. I think he liked me too. Sometimes when he asked me a question and I couldn't answer, so he said, I think that's Miss Granek's study, but she forgot.
Did you bring your own lunch to school, or did you have lunch at school?
No, we have lunches.
What kind of lunches?
A sandwich and a hot cocoa.
Who was your best friend in school?
My best friend was Lola Brodkiewicz, which perished in Auschwitz, but I have her picture.
Why was she your best friend?
We were very close. Was a pretty girl, a smart girl. We used to go out together, sometimes at the movies or in groups. I had lots of good friends.
What was playing in the movies then?
In the movies, Shirley Temple, Hardy and
Laurel
and Hardy.
And was it in Polish or Polish subtitles
Polish.
in English?
It was in Polish.
No subtitles?
No subtitles, no.
How much did it cost to go into the movie?
How much it cost that time?
Zloty, 2 zloty.
Yeah. I think 1 zloty.
Did you go to the movies often?
If we had, the films for the children, we used to go.
What did you do on the weekends in your free time?
The free times, we of course had lots of homework to do, and we belonged to organizations, Zionist organization. We had meetings, and we walked, on the promenade na Machowskiego. Used to visit each other, friends.
Were your parents very strict?
They were liberal.
Did your family own a car?
No.
How did you get around other than walking?
We used to walk.
Was
You
there
get
a bus?
used to it.
Was there a bus?
No, we had a streetcar.
Streetcar.
But very, very seldom we used the streetcar. We walk.
How about the train?
With the train, if you want to go to Katowice, which was a larger city, we used to take the train with the parents.
Where did you go in Katowice?
In Katowice, we had family, so we used to visit. And my father worked in Katowice. So sometimes we visited him.
Who was your first boyfriend?
My first boyfriend. Real boyfriend. I was very young, and a few. Was Richard Ehrlich, was Lolek Feldberg, and was Harry Blumenfrucht. We have good friends.
Did you have parties or dances?
Yes, we have danced. We danced a lot.
What did you dance?
What we danced? All dances: a tango, a foxtrot, a slow fox, and waltz. Oh, we have very good partners. One was a good tango dancer, one was a good foxtrot dancer, and they had their favorite dancers, girls too. They picked them up. They knew which one danced the best dance.
And did you graduate from high school, gymnasium?
Yes, it was 1939. We got the małą maturę. Yeah, and then from the mała matura, we used to go to two classes and then to college. But when I finished 39, the war broke out and the school were closed for Jewish students.
Describe Bendine before the war. What was Bendine like?
Bendine was for us a very beautiful city because I was born over there and I was educated over there. We have all the friends, and my parents had all the friends over there. It was a Jewish city with a few movie theaters, with a stadium,
Soccer
gym,
stadium?
soccer, yes, and a musa. This was they used to. We used to make concerts over there. And what else? And we had two synagogues. One, the new synagogue, and the alte synagogue, the Deutsche synagogue. The Deutsche synagogue was for people who used to come to the synagogue once a year, Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. And the other synagogue was for everybody. And we had, it was, one wall was beautiful, painted by two famous artists, Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Apfelbaum.
And which synagogue did you go to?
Beside the synagogue, it was shtibels, lots of them. So they have different Hasidim. They have Radomsker Hasidim, they had Gerera Hasidim. So my father was a Radomsker Hasid. So he used to go to that shtibel. For the synagogue, we used to go once a year, 3 Maja. This was the Polish Independence Day. So it was a big parade, and then we used to go to the synagogue, and the rabbi spoke, and we had the band, the music, and that's it.
What did the newspapers say about Germany in the 1930s? The Polish, did you have a Polish newspaper or a Jewish newspaper?
We have 3 Jewish newspapers in our town. It was the Zagłębie Leben, it was the, wait a minute, I was written down. You would wait, I can tell you now.
What did the newspaper say about what was happening in Germany in the 30s? Did you
In
read the news?
1933, you know, when Hitler came to power, it was very bad. The people started to emigrate, the Jewish people. And that time, I think, they could go out from Germany and take their possessions too.
I'm asking about Poland.
Poland. In Poland, we had anti-Semitism.
How was the anti-Semitism? Give me examples of anti-Semitism before
in front of the stores, they had pickets.
When?
When? Short before the war, 1938, 1939.
And before that,
and
how was?
Was written down, don't buy by Jews. Nie kupuj u Żyda.
Before that, in the middle 30s, how were the relations between the Jews and the Poles?
I think it was, we didn't feel nothing because we lived in a Jewish city and the superintendent was a goy and just a few stores, Gentiles.
So no one was afraid about what they read in the newspapers?
No. I think so.
And
we live very comfortable.
And then in 1938, 1937, you said the anti-Semitism picked up.
It
Why?
picked up.
Why?
It was an organization, Endeki. They were against, the Jews and...
It was a Polish organization?
Yes, sure.
And how did the other Polish citizens feel about the anti-Semitism? Do you feel most were anti-Semitic?
I don't think so. They used to live mostly outside of the city. So we didn't have connections really with them.
When you saw the pickets that told the Polish people don't buy by Jewish merchants, what did you think?
What I was thinking, it's not right, don't supposed to be that way.
Was there anything done about it? Did anyone go to the Polish authorities and ask them to help?
I really don't know.
Was there violence? Was there beatings?
No.
Just pickets.
Pickets.
When was the first time you knew that the war was going to happen or the war started?
The war started September the 1st, 1939.
What were you doing that day?
That day, the Germans came in because we were very close to the German border.
How far?
It was 5 kilometers from Beuthen. And a few hours later, the Germans were in our city.
What were you doing that day?
We went out and we were looking at the Germans, and at that time they did not do nothing wrong. But later on, the atrocities started.
Didn't they the first day burn the synagogue?
No, it wasn't the first day.
When?
It was September the 9th.
So when was the invasion?
We left the second day because my father left for Warsaw. He said he's going to look for apartment for us because we are too close to the border, and he felt that we will be more secure in Warsaw.
When did he start? After the war broke out or before the war broke out?
After the war broke out, maybe 3 days after the war broke out.
So he went to Warsaw.
He went to Warsaw.
And what happened?
And I was left with my mother and with my little brother. So we decided, and it was announced in the paper that the last train will go, let me say, the 2nd of the 4th of September, and that's it, the
last train to where? Warsaw?
To Warsaw.
So your father went? And did
Yeah, my father went to the 2nd.
And how did he get back?
This was the 4th. Now listen, then we decided to go to Zawiercie, to my grandfather, because we had 3 aunts over there.
How far away?
Sisters. I told you, an hour ago by train. So we had a maid. She took, a few belongings, and Mama told her, you will stay in the house. And we went to Zawiercie. And then, the 9th, before, they took out from our house in a neighboring house all the men.
Who?
The Germans. So between that was my girlfriend's father, Rose Rechnitz's father. He was the first one. They took them to the cemetery under the wall and they shot him all.
When did you find out about that?
When we came back to Benji.
What did you think then?
What?
What was your plan? What were you going to do?
We were starving. They gave us food cards.
You came back from Zawiercie to Bentin?
We came back from Zawiercie.
How?
How we came? I know, a horse and wagon, I really don't remember.
Why did you leave Zawiercie back to Bentin?
Because we left everything, and we didn't know we didn't have a radio, we didn't have a paper, we didn't know what would happen. So we decided to go back home and hope that father will come back.
What happened?
It took 2 months. And next door we had a neighbor. We have all Jewish neighbors in our house, in the apartment house. So we were sitting it was prohibited to go out. We could walk just till 7 o'clock in the evening, and that's it. So we were sitting at the neighbors, was nothing to do, and talking and hoping that the war will go to end pretty soon. And suddenly, after 2 months, somebody was knocking at the door. And we were petrified. We didn't know who. We were thinking maybe the Germans. So my neighbor opened the door, and here's Papa. You can imagine. We start to cry. And we said, Papa, how did you come? No trains, nothing. He said, I came from town to town by horse and wagon, from village to village, until I came home.
What was his plan then?
Nobody had plans because you couldn't go, you couldn't go out in the evening. During the day, we were afraid to go out.
Who was in the street?
In the street, the Germans,
SS?
SS, the
Polish?
uniforms.
Polish also?
The Polacks were worse than the Germans. The Polacks, some people.
I'm asking you who was in the street. So there were German
Germans
soldiers and
and
Polish
Polacks.
units or Polish individuals?
No, individuals.
And what did the Polish individuals
Well,
do?
they knew that the apartments are empty and the stores are closed, so they went in and took out what they could take out.
And when you came back to your house, what was left?
No, because the nanny was still in.
The nanny was Polish?
Yes,
So everything was left in your house?
yeah. And then after a few weeks, they evicted us,
Who?
the Germans, and they put us in the outskirts of Będzin. It was a poor section of Będzin. It was not far where the synagogue was standing.
And how
But
many?
in between, when we were away, they burned the synagogue.
And how many people were you put in one room or one house or one apartment? How
Yeah,
many
we
people?
had two families, and we had a room, and really the family owned the apartment. So we moved into the family. We had one room and a little kitchen.
And how many people?
Four. My mama, papa, and my brother and myself. And the other people had four. The other family had 4 people.
So 8 people in 2 rooms.
Yes.
For how long?
Until they put us in the ghetto.
And how long was that? How many months?
The ghetto, maybe another 4 or 5 months.
And what did you do? Did you have food? Did you have water? Did you have medicine?
No, we don't. We had food cards, and you have to stay, in line for a piece of bread. And until you came to the line, they said, sorry, it's sold out. So whatever we could, buy, or maybe on the black market or something. So we had
Did you
potatoes, water, beans.
Did you have money?
If we had money, probably have a few zloty.
You had enough money, but there was nothing to buy, or you could buy things?
On the black market you could buy a few things.
So what happened? They came to get your mother and your father? In the ghetto, what happened?
No, in the ghetto, I was working every day.
When did you
walked
start
to work?
When did you start working?
April 41. April 41, April 41.
How were you selected to go to work?
Everybody had to work.
Who selected you to go to your job?
Who was selected?
It's a German company, a Polish company?
I worked for a German company.
How were you picked to go work for the German company?
We walked. We have the Jewish militia, and they used to come every morning and to pick us up, a few hundred people, and we walked to work. Catch the people, whatever they could catch, and send them away, on trucks.
Did you have a work permit?
Yes. In fact, I have still till now.
How did you get a work permit?
From the Jewish gmina.
The militia?
Not militia, it was Gemeinde, the Yiddish Gemeinde. It was Rossner, it was Michatz, where I was working with my father, and another few smaller factories.
And what was your first job in the German factory?
The German factory, my father used to work in the office
As what?
as accountant, and I worked with him, and quite maybe 4 other Jewish people. That was the Jewish office.
You
And
worked,
then we have a Gentile office, which was 2 people, a lawyer, Shenietz, and another girl from our town.
so you worked in an office with your father,
Yes.
And
with
what,
other 4 people.
and you were the accountants for what kind of factory?
Michats, Leopold Michats.
Making
They
what?
used to make uniforms for the SS and SA.
And what was your job?
My job was to take the punch cards and to make out the punch cards for the workers.
But to get,
Man Ludwig came into the office and told us, "You are on the blacklist, and you are on the blacklist," and they hit my father. He couldn't go home, so his friend took him home.
why did they hit your
Since
father?
then,
Why did they hit your father?
because we are Jewish,
How did they hit him?
they hit him.
Did you see them hit him?
Yes,
How did they hit him?
with their fists and sure.
Did your father know why they hit him?
They came in and said, "You are all on the blacklist."
Why? You seemed to be working and the bookkeeping was going well. Why?
Ask the SS why. Because they wanted so. We were Jews.
So they beat up your father and he never recovered?
No. He passed away, Passover, March 27, 1942.
And your mother?
My mother was home. My mother didn't work.
And what happened to your mother?
Yeah, in between, mother sent away my brother to Zawiercie because people are talking that in Zawiercie they have a big factory, they need the people, and they will never send them out to the camps. The nanny promised to take him because my aunt had a son too, and just to keep them.
So you sent your brother to Zawiercie?
Yes.
And what happened to your brother?
Since then, they sent me away. They sent my mother away. My father passed away. So
I asked you, they sent your
didn't
brother?
know.
You didn't know what happened to your brother
No,
in
we don't.
Zawiercie?
We have no mail, no nothing.
When was the next time you heard from your brother?
We didn't hear. When they sent him away, that was that. That
You
was
never,
the last
you
time.
never heard from him again?
No, that was the last time.
Did you ever
So,
find out what happened to your 9-year-old brother?
Find out? We knew that the whole city they sent to Auschwitz.
The entire city of Zawiercie?
That's right.
When?
Exactly, I don't know when, but they used to round up the people the same time, like in our town and the surrounding towns.
And what happened to the nanny and the other child? They took them also?
They took them also.
So you never found the record of what happened
No,
to your brother?
no.
And to your mother? What happened to your mother?
My mother went to Auschwitz.
When?
The final solution,
So the final,
it was,
what happened to your mother?
my mother went August to Auschwitz when was Judenreich.
What happened? Did they come get her on the list or did they round people up?
They round the people up, and the young people, they said they put on one side, and the elderly people they put on the other side.
Were you working that day or were you out of work
I
that
was
day?
already in camp because they sent me out June 22nd, and the Judenrein was August.
You were working and then they sent you away when you were working? Your father died, you were still working, correct?
Yes.
And then they sent you away. When did they send you away?
June 22nd, they round up the whole city. They put us on a field. It was hot, without water, without food, and they kept us the whole day on the field.
But you had a labor card to work.
Who had nobody looked at the labor card.
So it was the soccer stadium and there in Bendine, is that where they rounded you up?
It was a soccer stadium.
And how many people were in the soccer stadium?
I think they round us up in 2-3 places. And it was quite a few
How many people were at the soccer stadium?
a few hundred people.
Were you with your mother then?
No. Because my mother, when they took me, my mother was hidden.
Where was your mother hiding?
It was in the ghetto, an old house and has a cellar.
Who was she hiding with?
by herself.
So they sent you away to the soccer stadium, and you were there for at least a day or two, and your mother was
One
hiding.
day,
And your mother was hiding.
and my brother was in Zawiercie.
Then what happened?
And we are sitting the whole day, and the atrocities and the beating and the screaming.
By the
it was
Germans?
The
By who?
Germans was terrible. Mothers with small babies, and they were shooting and they were beating up the people. And then a group of young girls, they took away, they separated us and sent us to Sosnowiec. It was a Durchgangslager. It was a camp where you were waiting, to send you further. So I
Right.
was in the camp for maybe 10 days.
Your mother was still, what, hiding, or you didn't know
No,
at that time?
my mother, imagine, sent me a little note through a Jewish policeman that she's at home. So
How many Jews were left in Bendian if there was the roundup?
It wasn't the Judenrein. The Judenrein took place 2 months
So
later.
your mother was still there. There were still some Jews
Oh,
there.
sure.
So your mother sent you a note that she was okay.
Yes.
And then what happened?
They sent me away
Where?
to a labor camp, to Annaberg. Over there I was for 10 days.
Where's Annaberg?
Annaberg was in Silesia,
Germany or Poland?
Germany.
How did you get to Annaberg?
By train.
How many days?
I don't. It wasn't too far from us. Maybe a day.
What kind of train? A passenger train or a
A
cattle?
passenger. Yeah, this was a passenger train. Was quite a few girls, and they separated the girls. A group of 4 sent to Graditz, a group of 10 sent to another labor camp.
So where did you end up?
I ended up in Annaberg. I was over there for 10 days, and they sent me to wash clothes
In Annaberg.
in Annaberg.
How did you wash clothes?
How I washed by hand, and the first day I got blisters on my hand. And it was another girl over there, very rough. She said, "Oh, you don't know how to wash, you don't know." She was very nasty, very rough. So after 10 days, they sent us out to Graditz. It was
Where's Graditz?
Graditz was in Eulengebirge. It was in Upper Silesia.
How far away?
How far from us? By train, maybe 3 hours.
You went by train?
Yeah, we went
Passenger train?
passenger train. Yeah.
How many people on the train?
How many people to Graditz went? 4 people, because one lady insisted that she has a son over there, and they sent her over there with her daughter.
How many people were on the entire train?
I can tell you exactly how, because they segregated people, they're sending them to one camp and to another camp.
Who was guarding you?
The SSS.
Any Polish?
No.
So you were at Graditz for how long?
In Graditz I was till 1944. January the 1st, 44, they sent us, this was a concentration camp, from Graditz to concentration.
And what was the name of the concentration camp? Graditz also?
Peterswaldau, which was not far away.
What was Peterswaldau is usually not on the list of concentration camps. Is it part of a bigger camp?
Yeah, we belong to Gross-Rosen.
Gross-Rosen. And where is Gross-Rosen?
In Germany.
And how many inmates were at Gross-Rosen?
This I don't know.
And what did you do at Gross-Rosen?
I wasn't at Gross-Rosen. I was in
Yes.
Graditz, and Graditz was an Abteilung from Gross-Rosen.
And what did you do at Graditz?
I worked in the office,
Doing what?
doing office work, giving out food cards for dinners, and we were working for 4 people in the office. a mother and daughter, which they had a son. It was a camp
What were
for
the
men,
names?
only for men.
You remember the names of the people you
Yeah,
worked with?
Yeah. Mrs. Kriegstein with her daughter, and Roman, their son, was in the camp, and the other girl was, let me remember, Regina Schnitzer from Auschwitz. She was born in Auschwitz, lived in Auschwitz.
Before the war.
Before the war, of course.
So did you get enough to eat there?
Over there, I will tell you, it wasn't too bad because we were the Mannschaft. The 20 women what were working, one was in a Schneiderstube, a shoemaker, one was a seamstress, one was washing the clothes, and we were in office. And the men used to go out from the camp to work.
Where did you sleep at nighttime?
Oh, we have a hall. Was an old factory, a dilapidated building. So we had a big hall. It was maybe 20 women. We slept downstairs, and upstairs over us the men used to sleep. And it was terrible. It was dirty. It was full of lice. And we had in the soffits, we had to put some paper because the lice was falling off on our bunks.
You worked 7 days a week?
Yes, sure.
How many hours a day?
From the morning till the evening.
Was there any punishment for mistakes?
No. No mistake. We didn't make mistakes, but you didn't supposed to make mistakes.
And how long did you work there till the end of the war?
Yes, till May the 8th. I was liberated the last day of war, the May the 8th, 45.
So how many months did you work there?
From January 44 till May the 8th, 45. Year and a half, 15, 16 months.
Were the Germans bad to you? What did they do to you, the SS?
We have women SS, and they were terrible. Especially one was, she used to scream on us. She used to hit us. She was terrible.
What did she hit you with?
With a bite.
A piece of wood?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we were Jews.
She said you weren't working fast enough, or the work wasn't good
For
enough?
now, it was no reason. Only we were Jews.
Were you ever hit by the SS?
Yeah, once.
When?
When we were, every morning they used to count us on appeal. And it was very cold, I think. We were not standing straight or something. So she came in and she hit me, on my face.
With what?
I think with her hand that time.
Do you remember her name?
No.
Didn't she have a name?
Yeah, we gave her a name.
What was her name?
Tigrishica, a
What?
tiger. Tigrishica.
Do you know what happened to her after the war?
We are looking for her, but I don't know if somebody got her.
And how often did you encounter the SS women in the camp?
Every day you look out the window, you saw them, standing and watching us.
What time did you get up in the morning to be counted?
The morning, a group of girls used to get up very early in order to wash up with the cold water, because some winter time was so cold you could see the ice on the windows what we had over there. And,
Could you take a bath or a shower?
No shower, no bath. It was like for swines.
Could you wash your clothes?
What clothes do you have?
What clothes did you have?
That's right, the cold water.
What clothes did you have?
What we have?
In uniforms?
No,
or-
not uniforms, a private. And that's what we had. I had a good coat, so they took away from me. They gave me a schmatter.
When did they start making you wear the Star of David, the yellow star?
Oh, the yellow star was in the ghetto. First was an armband on the hand, on the left hand you used to.
How did you find out that you had to wear an armband?
Oh, it was announced, in the streets, through the Jewish Gemeinde. We had a Jewish organization.
Did anybody have any plans to resist, or was there any idea that you could do anything at all?
Some girls, fled. They went, but they caught them.
How did they
And
flee?
they sent them because you were walking to work every day, early in the morning, it was dark, and coming back in darkness. So
How many tried to escape?
2,
And what happened?
they caught them.
And who were the girls?
One, the Auschwitz,
Who were the girls?
from Sosnowiec, I don't know the name. One survived. How she survived, I don't know. We met her in Miami a few years ago.
So they caught them?
They caught both, I think, but one somehow survived.
The other one went to Auschwitz?
No, to Auschwitz.
And how did you find out that they were caught?
They were, when they was counting us, they announced, the SS, that they are short 2 people. And if they will catch them, you know what will wait for them.
What kind of other atrocities did you see personally?
One day, they brought 2 men from a different camp, and they told us that they think they are sick of typhus. They put them in bags, and we had to stay the whole night. It was in the evening.
Were the men alive?
The men were alive.
Did you
still
see
alive.
them, or did you see them in the bag?
No. But in the bags you could see, they were alive. And the Lagerführer was a butcher, a real butcher. So he took his truck and went over 2 people.
He ran them over?
Ran them over.
How many times?
I don't remember.
They made everyone watch?
Yes, we have to stay the whole camp and to watch.
And how long did that take?
It took half a night, and then
You kept running them over half a night?
no, once, but we had to stay. Maybe the other morning we saw blood over there where we used to go to wash ourselves, so they probably hanged them.
Did you find out who the 2 men were?
Yeah, one was a son from our rabbi, from Benjamin, Grajever Ruf's son.
So they killed him.
They killed both men.
And who was the second
I
man?
don't know. This I don't know. And they gave us coffee. It was cold. Was standing looking, so they served us coffee, and the coffee contained. It was a little bit of water, brown water.
So they finally let you go?
Yeah, they finally
You
let
had to
us
go back to work?
In the morning, we didn't sleep at all because it took half a night. Early in the morning, you have to get up and go to work.
What kind of other atrocities did you witness?
By the woman, it was quiet because we were working. One was in the kitchen, one was they were busy. And the men used to go to work. So once in a while, they were counting the people, and the people used to die.
Did you have any information about the outside world, a radio or a newspaper? Did you know what was going on in the rest of the world?
No, not at all.
Did you know about any of the atrocities at Auschwitz?
No. But I wanted to mention too that in the same camp I had an uncle with his son.
What was his name?
Fischl Gelbart.
And the son?
Fischl and Heschel Gelbart. And I tried to help him. So I used to go in the kitchen and ask the girls, give me a few potatoes. So they used to take, they used to clean the vegetables, the potatoes. So I used to take a few potatoes and give to the uncle when they go to work, and ask the shiver, the man what took care of them, to let them to cook the 2 potatoes.
How did you have access to the kitchen? You were working all the time.
working. It was in the building. We didn't go out to work. We were in the building.
The kitchen was in the building.
Everything was in the building.
So you were able to get some potatoes for your
Uncle,
uncle.
and his son.
Did you know if he got the potatoes?
Oh yes, yes.
He was able to tell you.
Yeah.
You had access to papers. Did you ever manage to use paperwork to help anyone?
Not with paperwork. You couldn't help with paperwork, but if you had access to the food cards. I have a few friends over there, my papa good friend, and my school, 2 school friends, which I used to give another card for a little bit water and potato, and spinach with sand.
So you were able to get extra cards, or you printed extra cards, or
No,
you
not
forged
printed.
cards?
They used to come ready, but nobody counted them. So I used, to steal away 2, 3 cards.
Where did you hide them?
They were in the office.
Where did you hide the cards?
I didn't hide the cards. I used to give them out. They used to come from work, and we used to give out the cards.
So you gave them extra cards?
Yes.
Well,
I tried. It was very risky.
What happens if you got caught?
What happened? You know what would happen.
What happens if you got caught?
Yeah, I will get 20 on my tushy.
With what?
With what? With the iron stick.
So you managed to give people extra cards.
Yeah, we tried to help them.
Any other ways you could help people?
The other ways,
Were there any other ways to help people?
no way. We were in the building, in the camp. So.
When did you find out what was happening in the war?
What happened? We find out from Auschwitz.
How?
When we went to the concentration camp. A group of girls were sent to our camp. And they were without hair, of course, and in uniforms, and they were Hungarian girls. So we asked them, and we were anxious, we were waiting. The transport came in the midnight, so we were standing and waiting for them, and as maybe we were thinking, maybe we'll see my mother, maybe I found my brother, sister.
You were able to see the trains unloading the
No,
people?
not the trains, just in the building, in the camp.
So new people came into the building?
New people, that was the first transport from Auschwitz.
And these were new workers?
Yes.
And they had more girls?
All girls.
And what did they say?
Because the concentration camp was all girls where I was in Peterswalda. In Graditz were mixed. They were men, and the women were working in the camp.
So what did the Hungarian girls tell you?
They told us, we asked for where are you coming, from Auschwitz.
What language? Say Hungarian? How did you speak to them?
German, yeah, they understood German. They were on the border.
Did you speak Yiddish before the war?
Very little.
When did
I
you?
spoke, but very little. We usually spoke Polish at home, and the parents between them were Yiddish. I understood Yiddish, but yes.
And what else did they see?
The smell from the dead people. Or
What did they say?
what they could say, it was terrible.
Tell me
It was a
what they told you.
catastrophe.
They were eyewitnesses. Tell me
That's
what
right.
they told you.
They told us that people was dying. It was dirt and hunger and typhus. They couldn't survive. And hunger.
How close were the Hungarian girls to the death camp? Do you know?
No.
But they saw that.
They had barracks. I will tell you, we revisited Poland a few years ago, and we saw the barracks. They were.
So what did the Hungarian girls say? There was no hope, or what? After you talked to them, what did you feel?
There was no hope, not at all.
And what year was that?
They came in 1944 when we came in to the concentration camp.
It was close to the end, 1944.
I was a whole year from January the 1st till 15 months, till May the 8th.
When did the Hungarian
45.
when did the Hungarian girls arrive?
They arrived in 1944, maybe in February.
Did they have any news that the Allies had already invaded?
No, they didn't know nothing.
No one knew.
Nothing. It was the hunger and brutality and atrocity. And you were just thinking, how to survive.
So what did the Hungarian girls do? Did they take anyone's place? Did they send any of your
No,
girls
they
away?
they sent out them to work. They could use everybody. We used to work in an ammunition factory.
When was the first time you knew that the war was going to be over?
When we knew, when the Russians came in,
Were you surprised?
our Judenelters, they came in and told us, girls, look out from the little windows. You will see a white flag on the post office.
And what did you think?
What we think? We were thinking that the Germans will dynamite the building with us. But in the factory, Czechoslovakian men from Czechoslovakia used to work. So they told a few girls downstairs or upstairs that nobody is left. The Germans fled. And don't worry, we are watching the building.
And who told you that?
The workers, the Czech workers.
So then what happened?
Then what happened? We went out very slowly. We saw, the first trucks coming in, and it was a beautiful. We didn't know that it was so beautiful. It was in the mountains. That was a valley. It was in the May, and the flowers were in full bloom. So we went out from the camp, and the first truck came, and they used to throw chocolate to us.
Who was in the trucks?
Russian. The
How
Russian
do you know
liberated.
how do you know there were Russians?
They were speaking Russian, and in fact, one captain was a Jew. So he said, "You know what? I didn't see a Jewish woman for years now." They were surprised. They were all Jewish women.
So they gave you food?
Chocolate, food, but we were staying not too long because we were afraid, to be by ourselves. So.
What did the Russians say? You're free to go?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
What we done? We didn't stay too long in the camp because the Russians were, hungry for women. So we decided to go to the next little town.
What was the next town?
The next town was, what was the name? I really don't remember.
You had no money? You were
We
in
had
Germany.
no money,
You were
we
in
had
Germany, you had
nothing.
very poor clothes. How did you
Yeah.
make it?
We walked, and on the road we met men which came from the other camp, and they said, "You know what? The war is over. We are free," because they had girlfriends over there. One had a wife over there, then one a family. So we went to not far away to a little town. And the city was empty because they evacuated the people. They supposed to evacuate us too. We were laying, dressed. Our Judenelters told us, "Girl, be prepared because they're going to evacuate us."
Who? The Germans?
The Germans. But with one side, the civil population fled, and the other side they have the military, and they didn't have a way where to send us, and we were really lucky.
So you walked in the town and it was empty.
The town was empty.
How many
They didn't evacuate us.
How many girls did you have?
We were in groups. We had a group, maybe 10 girls.
And what did
So
you
we
do in
went
the empty
to
town?
We went to an empty house. Went to an empty house, and the Germans used to have conserves, fruit
Preserved.
preserves downstairs, what they used to make themselves. So we were hungry, we went down, and clean it was. The Germans were very clean. So we opened the jars and we ate, the conserves.
10 girls.
10 girls, yeah.
Then what happened?
Then what happened? People used to come from different cities. One was a baker, one was a butcher, and they took over the stores.
In the same town.
The same town.
What was the name of the town?
Langbilau.
Didn't the Germans come back?
No, they fled. Nobody was. They were afraid. They knew that the war is over.
This is Germany though, right?
That was in Germany. And I forgot to tell you, before the Russians came in, we were very close to Wrocław. And we...
That was in Russia?
No, that was in Germany. That was not far from our Belgian border. And we heard the detonations, from the shooting and from the thing. And the Germans, we used to make the works for the Ur bombs.
Time bombs.
For the time bombs. And this was like Ur maker.
A watchmaker.
A watchmaker. So all the parts were in a wooden box with parts. So the Germans, 3 days before the Russian came, they made a hole to fill it with kwasolny, I would say. What eats up the metal.
Acid.
With acid. They woke us up, middle of the night, took us by trucks, and we were thinking that we are going to Auschwitz. This will be our end. But we had to throw all the boxes.
You and 10 girls were in the city, the German city.
Yeah.
And then how long were you there?
How long were here? Oh, quite, maybe for 2 months. I got a job right away because the Polish commando army came over there.
Into the German city?
Yeah, that's the German. Then the border, they changed the borders that belong to Poland.
So the Polish government took over that city?
The Polish government, yes, the whole area.
So you lived there and you got a job. What job did you get?
I got a job. I used to work in the office too.
Who did you work for?
It was, I think, for the Polish organization or something. I really don't remember.
And you lived with the 10 girls in that house?
It was quite a big house, yeah.
And how long did you work as an office worker?
How long? Until I emigrated to no. A friend of my father found out that I survived, and he survived too. So he decided to come and to pick me up.
To do what?
To him, because he knew I was by myself without parents.
When did you find out what happened to your parents and your brother? Well, your father you knew.
Yeah.
When did you find out what happened to your mother and your brother?
We find out, I tried to go to Poland. I took the train, and on the locomotive, not on the train. And I went to Będzin. And I knew in Będzin I had a Gentile friend, a very nice girl, which sent me little bag with sugar to the camp, and it came to me. So I went to them, and I found out she had a mother and sister, and I found out that she passed away, she died. It was a Gentile girl. So with her sister, I went to the cemetery, to my father's grave, and we went to her sister's grave.
And when did you find out what happened to your mother?
I was looking and I didn't find nobody. Then, a few months later, I met a girl from our city. He said, you know what, I was with your mother in one big room, and your mother passed away. She got sick. She got a typhus
Where?
in Auschwitz, in Birkenau.
When?
When they took her, maybe 2, 3, 4 months later.
So she died from typhus.
Yeah. Mhm.
How old was she?
Mother was born 92, and this was 19, let me say, 44. It was 40, it was 40, 45, 46 years old.
And did you find out what happened to your little brother David?
The brother, he went to Auschwitz too. The whole city went to Auschwitz.
Did anyone see him? Did anyone remember
no,
him?
I didn't
No
hear
one knows.
nothing, because the whole family perished. And we were very close to Auschwitz. It was like by train 40 minutes.
So you said your uncle came and got you?
It wasn't an uncle, it was my father's very dear friend,
And who was that?
Mr. Lustiger.
And what did Mr. Luskinder do for you?
He took me, I was in Poland, and he used to live on the English zone in Celle. So we had to go through the border.
English zone of Poland, the English zone of Germany?
Of Germany. They have 4 zones, the English, the American. So he took me. We went through the border, and through the Russian border. No, that were the Russian.
Where was he taking you?
To Celle, where he used to live, on the English border.
So you went to Celle?
Yeah.
And you lived there?
And I lived there.
For how long?
For how long? It was next to Bergen-Belsen, the camp. And it was quite a few survivors of it in Bergen-Belsen. So I used to go over there and stay with friends. I met some friends.
Some people went to displaced persons camp. Who went to the displaced persons camps?
Oh, lots of people. Lots of people.
And
went
why
to
didn't
this.
you? Why didn't you go to a displaced?
Because I had cousins over there, Meyer, Jakob, and my husband, Wolf.
He wasn't your husband then.
Then he was a cousin, and
So you arrived at Munich, and who was at Munich? Meyer, Jakob, and Wolf,
Yeah, all the three.
the three Ehrlich brothers.
that's right.
And where did you
And
live
was
in Munich?
Kramer. They got a room for myself, and they received me very, very beautiful, nice. And, they had maybe a few dollars. They bought me clothes. One gave me a watch. So it was nice.
And did you have a job, or what were you
No,
doing in
I
Munich?
didn't do nothing, no.
And
no.
what did you do in Munich?
In Munich, what I done, we had friends. There were 2 sisters. The Ehrlich mother was the oldest together. My mother was the youngest in the family.
Did you know the Ehrlich boys before the war? I know they were your
Yeah,
cousins.
sure,
How
we
often
used-
did you see them?
We used to live in the same city.
How often did you see them?
Every week.
When did you get married?
November 46.
Where did you get
November.
married?
In Munich. And the whole city was invited. The whole all friends. It was a big, big wedding.
Who came to the wedding?
All our friends which survived.
How many people were at the wedding?
Few hundred.
Who was the rabbi at the wedding?
Rabbi Lazarowski. In fact, he used to be a rabbi now in Philadelphia, but he passed away 2 years ago.
When did you have your first child?
After we married, 10 months.
Did you decide to have a child, or the child just
the
came?
child came. We registered. We were waiting for the quota.
Where did you have
With
to
the time-
register?
In the joint.
The joint what? Not the joint, the joint, the Jewish committee.
It was a Jewish organization in Munich, and we registered.
And what did they say, that you will go to America? Or?
Yeah, we go to America, but we have to wait for the quota.
So how long did you have to wait?
We came now 1951.
How long did you have to wait?
From when we registered, I remember 1947 probably.
So it took you 4 years to leave Germany.
Yeah, when you were 4 years old, we celebrate your birthday on a boat.
When did you find out you were coming to America?
1957, and then
47.
47, and then they sent us, a note. So we were ready to go.
Have you found any friends after the war
Yes,
that you didn't realize survived the war, right after the war? Who did you find?
we found very dear friends, school friends, which survived. Some are in America, and some of them are in Israel. One is in Argentina.
What was your best memory before the war in Bendine? Your best memory before the war in Bendine?
I have a wonderful life, very comfortable, loved by my parents, have wonderful parents, beautiful people, and they gave me the best education for myself, private schools, and for my brother, and was very, very happy childhood.
What was your worst memory from before the war? From before the war in Bendine?
The worst.
Before the war, anti-Semitism or?
We really didn't feel that because we lived in a Jewish city. Simchas Torah, the Jews were dancing with the Torahs in the streets. We really didn't feel that. The Gentiles used to live in the outskirts of Benjin. Just we had a few store, a baker we had, and they used to live in the outskirts too.
Left of the 10 women?
A few of them passed away already.
And the rest?
The rest is here.
Where?
One is two are in Israel, and
Who?
the rest is Rahel Rosenker. It's my school friend. Henia Zmigrod. Then I have a dear friend, Ijo Greengrass. We went to one class, to one school, we were educated together. And one I have a dear friend in New York, Renee Silberstein, Nürnberg. Her maiden name is Nürnberg.
Do you think you could have done anything different to make it a little bit easier for you or your family? Or were there nothing you could do?
Where?
During the war?
During the war. I was a young child. What could I, overprotected. What could I do?
What's the lesson from the World War II? Any lessons? What did you learn?
Yes.
What did you learn?
Don't forget, because God forbid history can repeat itself.